Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Lost Gotham TV's look at our favorite movies. The last genre that we're going to look at in this mini-series is comedy. I love comedy. I love comedy in a lot of the movies that I watch. Even if they are scary movies. Horror comedy is kind of its own subgenre. You've got things like Gremlins, the great Shaun of the Dead. The people that make Shaun of the Dead, they made another great movie called Hot Fuzz that I really like. But I really wanted to focus on some other movies that have meant a lot to me for a long time. I could talk about a lot of the Zucker movies, things like Airplane, Hot Shots, Naked Gun. I love those parody, over-the-top, silly movies, and I have probably 2 on my list. But I wanted to try to limit it. I could just sit here and list the movies that the Zuckers have made, and that I love them all. But I wanted to make it a little more interesting. First movie on the list is one of those spoof parody movies, and it's by Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks has made a lot of movies like this. Blazing Saddles, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Young Frankenstein, Dracula Dead and Loving It. I love all of those movies. But for me, my favorite, if I had to pick one, would have to be Spaceballs, because I am such a Star Wars fan. I love the way that it makes fun of Star Wars, and it's a great, funny movie. You have great actors in there, the late, great John Candy, Bill Pullman. It's an amazing, funny movie. And I've watched it so many times over the years, so many great meta jokes. Meta is very popular right now, and Mel Brooks was like a pioneer in the field. I'm sure people did it before him, but he does that self-referential kind of humor very well, and Spaceballs is a classic example of that. The second movie I'm going to talk about is possibly the most famous on the list to most people, next to Spaceballs. It's another science fiction based comedy, because I do like a lot of sci-fi, and instead of Star Wars, this one makes fun of Star Trek, and the movie is, of course, Galaxy Quest. Great cast, great script, great action. It's funny. It pokes fun at Star Trek in such a great way. It's an amazing, entertaining movie on its own. The fact that it makes fun of Star Trek, it's just a bonus. But it could be its own standalone movie. If you weren't making fun of Star Trek, it's entertaining and well made and a funny action sci-fi movie. It isn't just one thing, it's so many things. I mean, Sigourney Weaver, so it's, you've got those little nods to Aliens. It is a great movie. Fun. It's, again, one of the movies that's really good for families. Spaceballs is probably good for families, but Galaxy Quest is more generic in its humor. Maybe, yes, you have the kind of red shirt jokes, but it's got a lot more simple humor in there as well that whole families could enjoy, even people who are not fans of Star Trek. So, great movie. Anyway, I think the next movie on my list I will talk about is definitely a comedy, but it's also got a lot of drama in it. It is John Hughes movie. John Hughes, an amazing director, amazing writer, made a lot of classic movies before he passed away. And this, for me, this is a movie that I am not ashamed to say makes me cry every single time. If I were acting in something and I needed to cry, I would probably think about, not to give any spoilers away in case you haven't seen it, but there's a scene towards the end where Steve Martin is reflecting on the things that have happened, and it's so emotional. It gets me every single time. I feel like I'm almost choking up a little bit right now just thinking about it. And anyway, the movie is Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. Again, John Candy, and the second movie with John Candy on just this list. He was a great, funny, but also dramatic and endearing actor. I loved him in a lot of his movies. Summer Rental, Uncle Buck, Spaceballs. I mean, he made so many great movies. And Trains, Planes, and Automobiles is probably one of John Candy's best, one of Steve Martin's best, one of John Hughes' best. It's a great movie for storytelling and comedy. It's an amazing movie I've watched many times, and I'm sure I will watch many times again in the future. Yeah, I'm going to stop talking about it before I tear up. Alright, the next movie on the list I think is also written by John Hughes. A lot less well known, but it has the amazingly beautiful Jennifer Connelly in it. I think she made this very soon after, within a couple of years, few years of making Labyrinth. And let me think, John Cryer, I think, is the male lead. But again, you've got some great other actors in there that you'll recognize from different things. It's an amazingly funny story, and I'm not sure if it has another name, but I think it might just be called Career Opportunities. And it's about a kind of a guy who is a liar. He tells lies virtually for a living. He lies his way through life. And he gets a job as a night janitor at a Target store. And he gets locked in there overnight while his boss goes away to do stuff. And he has to clean up the store. And while he's doing that, robbers break in and try to rip the place off. Thinking about it like that, it seems like it has a little bit in common with Home Alone, another one of John Hughes' most famous movies. But it really doesn't. The main character is a lot older. Different stuff goes on. There's a lot less slapstick, booby trap stuff going on. But it's a fun movie that not a lot of people necessarily know about. And so I really wanted to put it on the list because I've seen it many times. There is an amazing... As a teenager watching that movie, there's an amazing scene with Jennifer Connelly riding a mechanical hobby horse thing. Very, very inspirational for a teenage boy. And yeah, last movie on my list, which is a National Lampoon movie. And as much as I love the Christmas Vacation, the vacation movies, Christmas Vacation in particular, it is not a Chevy Chase movie. He did for a while kind of become synonymous with National Lampoons, but it's not that. It is not National Lampoon Class Reunion, which almost made it onto the list. It's a very That's a very fun movie. This is one that I don't know if people have heard about it or not. A whole bunch of people are in this thing. Whoopi Goldberg, Emilio Estevez, Samuel L. Jackson. You've got cameos from so many people. William Shatner's in there, Tim Curry, a lot of people. So there's a lot going on with the actors, the casting, but you've got a lot going on with the story, which makes fun of action movies, and in particular the Lethal Weapon movies. And if you haven't heard of this movie, it's called National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, and it is so funny. You have the silly, ridiculous spoof, slapstick parody, over-the-top comedy. It makes fun of so many movies. It is so entertaining. I cannot recommend it highly enough. If you like silly, goofy, stupid movies, you will love National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1. There is kind of a thing, I don't know if it's an urban legend or what, but I think I read something somewhere that the reason it has the numeral 1 in it was that they were potentially going to make more of them because, you know, they were making fun of the fact that Lethal Weapon made so many movies, but and things like Dirty Harry and stuff like that. But it wasn't successful enough financially to warrant sequels, which is unfortunate because I think it's a cult classic. I love it. I laugh even just thinking about some of the silly, ridiculous jokes that are in this movie. For me, it might even be better than a lot of the things. I mean, maybe not Airplane. I love the Airplane movies, but the Naked Gun movies, the Hot Shot movies. It is so funny. If you want to laugh at silly, stupid stuff, go watch that movie. That's probably about it. I don't think I have anything else to add to the comedy movie stuff. Hopefully you liked my list. Hopefully I was able to shed some light on something that you didn't know about. I encourage you to go out and watch any or all of them today, right now. Go do it. I'll wait. No, I won't. Yeah, great movies, well worth your time. Go enjoy them, and I will see you next time.